I think this is the sixth Nydia, Highlands and Islands Sport and Health Science webinar, and it's a very special one for us. We're really pleased to be supporting the Orkney 2025 Island Games, and thank you to all of our speakers for joining us this evening and yourselves in the audience. My name's Dr. Daniel Crabtree. I'm a research fellow with Aberdeen City Council and also an honorary research fellow with University of Aberdeen Rowett Institute. And I'm one of the three co-founders of the Highlands and Islands Sport and Health Science with Dr. Nydia Rodriguez-Sanchez, who'll just introduce herself in a second, and also Gary Warren, who's head of the Professional Academy at Ross County Football Club. And as I said, we're really, really pleased to be running this webinar tonight for you all. So I'll hand over to Nydia to introduce herself, and then I'll introduce Kirsty. Over to you, Nydia.
Thank you very much, Dan, and welcome to everyone. As Dr. Dan Crabtree said, I am Nydia Rodriguez-Sanchez. I am a senior lecturer at the University of Stirling. My area of expertise is in nutrition, body composition, and hydration. And yeah, I'm also, I'm originally from Mexico, but yeah, I've been in Scotland the last almost 12 years. So yeah, I love Scotland, and yeah, I love, all the sport culture. And yeah, I'm very, very happy to have Kirsty, Hannah, and Cara today with us. Thank you very much for being part of this webinar. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So, Dan, do you want to?
Thanks, Nydia. So, I will introduce Kirsty Talbot. Nydia, if you wouldn't mind, would you be able to take Cara, Hannah, myself, and yourself off Spotlight, please? That'd be okay, and we'll just put the spotlight on Kirsty for now. Thanks very much. So, as you say, Kirsty Talbot is the director of the Orkney 2025 Island Games. Kirsty began her career in hospitality, working for Hilton International before specialising in events. Having worked across the UK and Europe, she brings with her a wealth of vital knowledge and skills with over 20 years of events management experience. Kirsty has previously been involved in such prestigious events as the London Olympics in 2012, the Glasgow 2014 Commonwealth Games, the 2018 European Championships, and 2019 European Indoor Athletics Championships, as well as a variety of festivals, conferences, and conventions. So I'll hand over to you for your presentation, Kirsty. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Daniel. Thanks for the introduction. It certainly makes it sound like a busy few years, and it certainly has been. Delighted to be here tonight, and it's nice to see a couple of familiar faces, and then lots of folk have not met before. So, as Daniel said, I'm Kirsty Talbot, Games Director for Orkney 2025. So I am responsible for all the operational delivery of the Games here in Orkney, and I'll just go into a wee bit more detail about what will be happening this summer. So the International Island Games is awarded to each island by the IIGA. So that's the International Island Games Association. It's principally a volunteer-led organisation with one paid member of staff, and they award the games to qualifying islands every 2 years. It's up to about a week worth of events, and we're hoping that we'll be reaching 1 million islanders across the board. This includes the reach that we'll have through doing our streaming as part of the games. But it's quite cool to see who is actually involved. There may be some flags that you'll recognise, there may be some that you sort of part recognise. For any of you that have been involved with other multi-sport events, I can see the chair of the IIGA has just come in there as well, which is lovely. If anyone's been part of other multi-sport events, as I have, you'll be used to member countries. So it's taken a wee while to change the terminology. And we talk about our member islands. So we've got 24 in total. And you'll see on the screen here who the ones are that are taking part. And we're delighted to say that we've had confirmation of attendance of all the islands. At this stage in the game, we have their attendance, their numbers are estimated, and we've got around 2,140 coming this summer. That does include around 200 of them will be home participants, so Team Orkney will be sending its largest team ever as well. To qualify to be a member island, you would need to have a population of less than 100,000, because folk are often asking why some of the bigger nations aren't involved, and that's your kind of quick answer to that one. So if you haven't heard of any of these islands, it's really worthwhile going on the IIG website, having a wee look around, seeing what other information you can get about them. So some of these guys are going to be travelling for maybe 4 or 5 days before they even reach Orkney. So the investment to come to the games is huge, both monetary and also in terms of your own development and everything that goes with it. And Cara will tell you a wee bit more about that shortly. It's going to be the biggest event that Orkney's ever hosted, and it's the first time that we've hosted, and it's likely to be perhaps the only time in our lifetime, certainly. The big giveaway is that I'm actually from Glasgow. I'm not from Orkney, but Orkney has become my adopted home when I moved here with the family just over 2.5 years ago. It's the first time we're hosting, so that does come out with a few challenges in that anyone who has perhaps attended another Island Games before, they get it, they know exactly what's coming, but for those who haven't seen it yet, it's difficult to get them to understand the scale and the impact that the Games is going to have on such a small place. It will be the 20th Island Games, and it'll be 40 years since it all began as well. And we're quite proud to say that it is actually going to be one of the largest multi-sport events in Europe in 2025. Folk are often asking how is it run? Is the model similar to other international sporting events? And where the structure sort of remains similar to other sporting events, you'll see that there is one big difference. Let me just, get my specs on for this one. So these are the only paid members of staff. Okay, I think when I worked 2014, I think there was probably about 1,600 paid staff. I'm sure there'll be a couple of folk on the call here that could maybe correct me on that. We've got a huge volunteer effort going on to make sure that the events can be delivered successfully. We have a volunteer board who have been involved, some of them on the Games for coming up for 10 years now. When they first went in for the bid, originally we were actually the 2023 hosts, but when everything changed with COVID, our friends in Guernsey went from being the 2021 hosts to the 2023 hosts, and so on. We were knocked on to 2025. Some of our sport leads, for example, so what you would traditionally know as a sport competition manager in the other games, again, they're all volunteers, so it's been many years of investment for all of these guys. And then we've got what you call your functional areas or the operational areas. In some cases, we've brought in paid agency support because it's a very specialised one, like accommodation management or marketing. And we also have a fantastic IT company that's supporting us, Motion Technology, as well, in terms of pro bono support as well. So people are really coming forward, understanding that perhaps we don't work on the same sort of budget that a larger event of this size does, and that we do have restrictions within that. And I'll come on to sponsors in a wee bit, but we've certainly really benefited from folk investing in the Games, not only in their time, but some in kind of monetary form as well. With any large sporting events, the one thing that you really can't do without is your volunteers. And as much of it I've spoken about our long-term volunteers that you've just seen on the screen there, when it comes to Games time, we're looking in excess of 800 volunteers. We put a call out to the local community and beyond, and we were delighted when we had over sort of 1,300 applications came in. So it just shows that the interest is certainly there within the local community, and we're working with our PR agency as well, just to try and get some nice case studies about where our volunteers are and where they've come from and why they're interested in the Games. Lindsay here, for example, is a pharmacist at Balfour Hospital. Robin is a a driving instructor. Everyone's kind of got their own reasons for wanting to get involved. For some folk, it is their love of sport, and for others, it's the chance to get involved in this once in a lifetime event as well. So the competition is going to be held on what we call mainland Orkney. So as much as we're an archipelago, the idea is that it's logistically it's most sensible to try and host it all as concentrated as you possibly can. With Kirkwall being our capital, and also where we have the Picacoy Centre, which is our key sports centre, which will host 5 of our sports. That will be the main sort of games hub, because we will also have sports over in the second town of Stromness as well. So there's a little bit of what I would call a Glasgow Edinburgh going on between Kirkwall and Stromness, a little bit of friendly rivalry. So we need to make sure that the sport is well spread across so that everyone is getting involved. In terms of availability and accommodation and the likes, we do have the majority of folk will be staying in Kirkwall. But our sports that will be taking part in Kirkwall are archery, athletics, badminton, squash and swimming. So they'll all be in and around the Picacoy Centre. Continuing at other parts of Kirkwall, we'll have the Kirkwall Bowling Green, which is just behind the Bishops and Earls Palace. If anyone's been to Kirkwall, it's a beautiful backdrop. We've got the Orkney Sailing Club hosting the sailing, and then Orkney Golf Club and the Stromness Golf Club will host the 2 golf competitions. Jumping over to Stromness, we also have the gymnastics competition, which will be taking place in Stromness Academy in their gym hall and their sort of theatre area as well. The triathlon will be one of the first events of the Games on the Sunday morning, and that will be at Stromness Harbour as well. So we're looking forward to seeing our friends coming from tropical climes jumping into Stromness Harbour and enjoying a refreshing swim as well. And then we've got our football pitches right across West Mainland and a wee bit further down as well. So there'll be quite a lot of logistical movement, certainly for the football competition. That's the only team sport that we're hosting due to our restraints within numbers. And on to that note, so when you're planning an event like this, in somewhere like Orkney, you are restricted when it comes to your accommodation offering. Orkney's always sold out every summer. It's a hugely popular tourist destination, and we're right in the middle of the summer holidays, so we had to think out the box about how we were going to accommodate these folk when they came to visit us. And the school dormitories is going to be part of our big plan, if you like. We've got 2 high schools and 2 of the primary schools are having their classrooms emptied, and they will be replaced with luxury. The classroom furniture is replaced with these luxury inflatable beds and bedding. And you can see actually this is a sample classroom that we set up in Kirkwall Grammar School this summer when we had some of our delegates coming to visit us for a readiness visit a year to go. To supplement them, we've also got the existing self-catering and bed and breakfasts, hostels. Papdale Halls is a halls of residence, so for the children who live in the Outer Isles, they come to Kirkwall Grammar School during the week, and this is where they would stay, and then they go home at the weekend. We're adding in a few extra beds, mind you, just to be able to bump up the numbers a little. We've had a few of the hotels involved, and there has been quite a lot of expectation management in terms of dealing with some of the member islands, who on their island, they do have a large collection of 4- and 5-star hotels with lots of beds, and that's just not how it is in Orkney. We only have a handful of hotels, and the capacities aren't huge compared to the number of beds we need. So the last sort of innovative bit that we've had to bring up is the flex hotels, which is actually containerised accommodation that will be placed in the car park of UHI Orkney, and we'll be also bringing in additional toilet and shower facilities as well to support the flex hotels and the dormitories. There'll be things that will look different. So for anyone that's on the call who's already in Orkney or part of the Games, you'll be sort of familiar with this. But there's just things like the local sports centre. It's got fairly big grounds and a lot of parking, and folk are used to coming up and just parking in it. But we will be pedestrianising the area so that we can also build in a catering village. We'll have the usual athlete drop-off zones and the likes, but we want to encourage folk to do park and ride and park and stride as much as possible, getting the active travel element in there as well. The catering village, so we've got 8 units that will be going into the Picky area to support the number of folk that will be there, not just athletes but also media and spectators as well. We're running a plan ahead programme which is on our website, which shows all the road closures that are going to happen as part of the games, and we've got a traffic management company in place who's helping us organise those as well. And our transport manager, Naomi, is also working with us on our Games bus route service, which will be hopefully every 15 minutes between the two towns. And we have a contracted stagecoach to deliver those services. What's helpful about that is the fact that they have the school bus contracts here, so that they're available. A lot of the buses are available. We'll also be bringing up additional double-deckers, of which there are very few in Orkney due to the high winds. We're hoping for the best of weather when it comes to July. Some of you may have already come across Ola the orca. So she is our Games mascot, and the friendliest killer whale you ever did see. We put out a competition back a year and a half ago now, a bit more, to all the school children, and we had many hundreds of entries came in, and they were sifted through, and the overall winner was Sarah Sutcliffe from Kirkwall Grammar School. She was 12 when she created her, and then Ola was brought to life by a mascot company as well. You'll see we also have Games merchandise available for sale as well. If you happen to be in and around Orkney, we wanted to ensure it was sold locally. That was a really important one for us. So we worked with the key merchandise provider and then the local stockist to ensure that someone could go into a local shop and be able to buy some of our items. And then the full range is also available online. So even if you went to Orkney2025.com and clicked on shop, you'll be able to view the full thing. Thank you, Daniel's just popped the shop up in the chat. So you can get your cards out at the end if you like. And you can get a wee bit carried away in the logistics and everything that's going on to organise this. But I have to remember that the heart of it all is the athletes, and this is why we're doing it, so that the 24 member islands really have the chance to showcase the best of their athletes in a high profile multi-sport event, which is often a stepping stone for their other events. So Cara will tell you a bit more about that. Funding is a huge thing. I mean, we've been very lucky in that our sort of key funders have allowed the games to happen, and that's Orkney Islands Council, it's Event Scotland through Visit Scotland, and is Sport Scotland. In addition to that, we have a lot of private sponsorship, but some of the sort of monetary legacy things are outlined here. A lot of this came through the Sports Scotland funding. For example, when it comes to May time, we're looking forward to welcoming 24 brand new boats being delivered to the island as well. The gymnastics equipment's already here. It's getting stored safely in storage containers that were also funded through the funds. So we've been really lucky for the investment that's come to Orkney as part of the Games. And also the investment in our 800 volunteers, because there'll be substantial training that's going on with them as well. And we hope maybe for some people it'll be a stepping stone maybe into other volunteering opportunities or back into work as well. And it'll just be nice to see Orkney on the world stage as well. So while I can, I would just like to give a shout out to all our sponsors who've made this happen, because without them things would be very different. So we're extremely grateful. And then it's just a wee look at what happens next. We tried to run our first volunteer training day in January, and then the storm came. So we had to record it to an empty room, and we shared it online with our volunteers, and we're hoping to get them all together again in person this time on the 30th of March. So that'll be a nice moment. We made a call out for community champions, who were someone who's done really good work within your community, and the public felt that they deserved the opportunity to present medals at this year's games. So we'll be announcing those in the next couple of months. I've already touched on the boats. Possibly May, June time, we'll be looking at unveiling the medals as well. So a medal design competition was run, and a young designer called Jodie Brown created an incredible design, and we have seen the prototype, and we're really excited to be sharing it with everyone just before the games. It's a lovely thing for the athletes as well to see what they're going to be competing for, and without the support of Sheila Fleet, that there's no way that the medals would be happening and be as fabulous as they are. Come June time, we start dishing out the uniforms, the accreditations. Early July, the flexible accommodation will be arriving, the dormitories will be getting fitted out, and then the games begins on the 12th of July. So whether you're in Orkney or not, we would certainly ask you to join us online, follow us on YouTube, and you'll be able to find out all about the games. But what I'd quite like to do is just leave you with a video. Daniel, if there's any problems with the sound, please do let me know, but we'll give it a go.
Absolutely.
Okay, and that's all from me, so I'll hand back to Daniel. Thank you.
Fantastic, Kirsty. Thank you. I'll hand over to Nydia, who's going to introduce Cara, but that was absolutely brilliant. Thank you. Just to say before you start, Nydia, sorry, is there a link to the video on the Orkney 2025 website, Kirsty?
Yeah, I can pop that in the chat.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. Thank you. Over to Nydia.
Thank you, Dan. And well, so now it's my pleasure to introduce Cara. Cara is a former Western Isles International Island Games athlete and now a Scottish-British swimmer who trains and competes for the University of Edinburgh. Cara competed for Scotland at the 2022 Birmingham Commonwealth Games and competed for Great Britain at the 2022 European Championships and 2023 World Championships. And Cara is the Scottish record holder in the 50 meters and 100 meters breaststroke and 4 times British swimming champion. So thank you very much, Cara, and welcome back.
Thank you so much. I'm just going to share my screen. Let me know if you can see that okay. That's all good. Okay, Well, firstly, thanks so much, Kirsty. That was so interesting. It's lovely to have a wee bit of an insight into what Orkney might look like. And yeah, I'm absolutely buzzing, and hopefully I'll get to be there in July. So yeah, I'm just going to speak a wee bit about my journey through the Island Games and sort of where that's got me to, and a wee bit about top tips for athletes who are maybe competing for the first time at the Island Games, or maybe have been before but are just looking for a wee bit of extra advice. So I'll just start a wee bit about my personal background. I was born and brought up in Stornoway on the Isle of Lewis, and I moved there. I was there until I moved to university in 2015, where I went to Edinburgh. I joined the local swimming club at age 7 and haven't looked back. It's definitely been a big part of my life from early on. In terms of Island Games, I competed at my first games in 2011 at age 14 for Team Western Isles. It was probably one of the breakthrough moments for me in terms of my swimming career, and definitely grateful for the impact that the Island Games has had on my career. And I honestly truly believe that I probably wouldn't be the same athlete that I am if I hadn't had the opportunity to compete at the Island Games. And yeah, just moved to Edinburgh in 2015 for university, and I'm still here now. It'll be 10 years in September, which I can't quite believe, but yeah, very happy and swimming under University of Edinburgh. So a wee bit of my recent successes. Multi-medalist at the Island Games, and have competed at 5 Island Games over the last, well, I'm going to say 14 years. British champion, Scottish record holder in the breaststroke events. Commonwealth Games in 2022 was my first major international multi-sport event other than the Island Games. And then also represented Britain at the European Championships and World Championships. But obviously no path to success is a straight line, and I've had many ups and downs in terms of injuries, plateaus, missing out on the 2018 Commonwealth Games, and most recently the Paris Olympic Games by 0.06 of a second. But I'm really proud of where I've come from and all of these achievements so far. And yeah, I'm just proud to represent the Western Isles, Scotland, and Great Britain as well. So just a wee bit about my Island Games journey. It started back in 2011. I was 14 at the time of Isle of Wight, and the Western Isles team managers thought it might be a good opportunity to take me away to see if I might enjoy the games and see if it might, spur me on a wee bit to compete more often. And it was just an amazing experience. I went there and I just competed in as many things as I could. I didn't make any finals, but I just enjoyed the whole experience as a whole. And I got to know more people from the Western Isles itself as well, in terms of athletes from different sports and people who could help me along the way as well. At the games, yeah, I produced personal bests as well, which was massive at that time, because I think going to games where you might feel a wee bit out of your comfort zone and you're quite young, to go and compete and to swim faster than you've ever swam before was something I was really proud of. And yeah, so that sort of kept going. I competed at the Bermuda Games in 2013. I was 16 at the time, and it was amazing to travel to such an amazing part of the world, and so far from where I was from in the Western Isles. And I remember the pool was actually outdoors as well, so it was my first time competing in an outdoor pool, and I think I made 3 finals at that one, maybe came 4th and 5th, so quite close calls. But again, it was an amazing experience, and it was something that spurred me on to hopefully do better at the next games. And similarly, actually, we stayed in schools for the accommodation, which is going to be similar to Orkney. So I've experienced the blow-up bed, and to be honest, I slept really well. So I think it will be grand. And then moving on to Jersey in 2015, I was 18 at the time, and this happened, I think, just before I moved to university, and I managed to come home with 1 gold and 3 silver medals, and that was an amazing experience. I think it just felt that all my hard work had sort of paid off, and Jersey was the first time I'd medalled, which was really special. And then I was in Gotland in 2017, which is in Sweden, which was amazing again, a lovely place. And yeah, definitely with all these places, that the people definitely make the games, and I think Orkney will be very similar. Everyone is so nice and so kind, and just wanting to help you out as much as possible. And I was actually, I think I won 3 gold medals at Gotland, but I actually had to leave a wee bit early because I had to come back to Scotland to compete, to qualify for a chance at qualifying at the 2018 Commonwealth Games. Sadly, I didn't quite manage that, but it just kind of shows that you can strive to compete at the Commonwealth Games, having competed at the Island Games, and that stepping stone that Kirsty talked about earlier as well. And then the last one that I competed at was the Gibraltar Games in 2019. I was 22 at the time and came home with 4 golds and a silver medal. I think I also broke a few records at that meet, which was something that was really cool. But to be honest, it was just an amazing opportunity to represent the place that I come from. And it was throughout my whole career as an athlete, the Island Games has been there, like, as I've gone on, and it just spurred me on even more to try and compete and to become the best athlete I can be. Unfortunately, I wasn't at the 2023 Guernsey Games, and I guess I hope this is what I'm trying to say, is I was at the World Championships in Japan at the time. So it was an amazing opportunity, and I am actually a bit sad that I missed out on Guernsey, because I'm pretty sure it was an amazing games as well. So I have a few top tips that I thought might be quite useful for the athletes competing in Orkney. I think the last Island Games to be held in Scotland was in 2005 in Shetland. So it's really exciting that they're back in Scotland, and it's an amazing opportunity for the athletes competing. So for the first one, it's just a wee bit around preparation and familiarisation. If possible, no matter what sport you're in, it's really good to visit the competition arena or the training facility ahead of time. I think it's really important to familiarise yourself with where the call room might be, where the change rooms might be, where the toilets are. Just make yourself really known to the area around you. This really helps me out because I like knowing, where things are, so that I don't have to think about that on race day, and I can just sort of go into automatic mode. I think as well, in terms of the pool, for me, I would always swim in the pool a couple of times before I compete, just to get a feel of the layout, the water, the blocks, all that kind of thing. Because I guess each venue can be very unique. Secondly is to practice your routine. I like to know my pre-race routine thoroughly, and I always practice the same one at each competition, and I think the consistency of that just reinforces confidence under pressure. Focusing on specific controllable aspects of your performance rather than the outcome can really, really help when you are under pressure or feeling a wee bit of nerves. So I always think process. Secondly, we've got physical training and recovery. I think when it comes to an Island Games, there's so much excitement and so much going on at one time in terms of, for for example, the opening ceremony, where you're on your feet for a few hours and you're enjoying the whole process. But I think it's just really important to make sure you get your training in and around that, and make sure that your physical preparation of the competition doesn't get dropped in the excitement of it all. And in terms of recovery, on that side as well, it's just getting adequate sleep, making sure that you are hydrated at all times, especially when you're at the opening ceremony and you're walking around. I think just making sure you're hydrated will keep your performance at an optimum, especially if you're racing or competing the next day. So the next one I have as well is mental preparation. So for me, throughout my Island Games, I like to set realistic goals in terms of what I wanted to achieve. And I think whether it's beating a personal best or simply going to gain as much experience as you can, achievable objectives can really help with your focus and your motivation. I like to sometimes, if I'm at a major meet, write things down that I see other people doing, or write things down that I remember as being really key in helping me perform. And the other one is just to embrace the challenges. Every race or every competition is an opportunity to learn. So I always think about enjoying the process, enjoying the journey, rather than stressing about the potential outcome. And then you will always have great memories of your competition as well. The next one is competition day strategies. So for myself, I think arriving early, giving yourself ample time to settle in, adjust to the environment, and just become, I guess, calm in the environment that you're in. Trust your training is really key as well. Something that, I'm always looking to do is obviously begin that race and focus on the training that you've put in and believe in the process of it all coming together on the day. And also staying adaptable, because at these major meets where there's lots going on in terms of other sports as well, things can maybe run behind or can maybe change up. So I think to be adaptable is probably one of the key things when you go to an Island Games. And finally, it's just the team environment and the experience. The Island Games for me were just as much about, enjoying the competition, sharing experiences with teammates, supporting one another, learning from each other's journeys. Immerse yourself in island culture as well. The unique experiences and opportunity to build lifelong friends. I think I've had so many great opportunities come from people I've spoken to at the Island Games or friends I've made. And just overall, I think the Island Games are an invaluable stepping stone into further major international competition, and with actually not that many opportunities to compete at a multi-sport event like the Island Games, I think it's a perfect opportunity to try out competing under pressure, and the chance to compete at a senior level as well. And to be honest, for me, when it came to competing at the Commonwealth Games, I was able to draw on my experiences from the Island Games and use the lessons that I'd learned throughout my time, such as being adaptable, dealing with pressure, and handling distractions. And I think just as well, just to finish, it's just an amazing opportunity to speak to people who come from similar backgrounds to you and to compete against them and almost be on that level playing field. It's just an integral part of an athlete's development from the islands, and I'm very much looking forward to it all. So thank you so much for having me.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Cara. Another fantastic presentation. Great to have you back. Thanks for coming and joining us again and contributing to this webinar.
Thank you so much.
So we will move on to our final speaker now. Hannah McLeod. Thanks for joining us, Hannah.
Thanks, Daniel.
And
Thanks for having me.
no problem at all. And I'll just give a quick intro about Hannah. So I actually met Hannah in 2015 when I was lecturing at Edinburgh Napier University, and it was pretty clear then that she was going to have a fantastic career in the sport, and so it has proved. And Hannah's been involved with the Western Isles Island Games Association women's team. I hope I got that right, Hannah. Football team. Sorry, better be specific there. Football team. Didn't get it right. For over 13 years, primarily as a player, but since preparations began for Guernsey 2023, Hannah stepped into the role of team manager, supporting head coach Ewan McLeod with team operations and administration. But by day, Hannah is the events manager at Hibernian Football Club, where she plans and delivers all club events. Since graduating from Edinburgh Napier University in 2017, Hannah has worked at the Scottish FA, Scottish Rugby, and Rangers FC in what's proven to be an excellent career. This has allowed Hannah to gain a strong understanding of what happens off the pitch to drive success on the pitch. Thanks, Hannah. I'll leave it over to you.
Great, thanks, Daniel. Not as many accolades as Cara, but I appreciate the intro. I do have a few slides. I'll just get them up. Okay, great. So thanks for having me. I will begin by running through a little bit about myself, a bit about my football journey, a bit about my time at the Island Games and what Island Games I have been to, the growth of the women's game on the Western Isles, and then also kind of that transition from a player into a more kind of volunteer team manager operational role within the club. So when I was in school, I joined my local club team and I played under 14 level and played in a boys league, which is quite a classic development measure for a women's player on the islands. And throughout my schooling time, I played in the school team there. We played quite regular games, which was great because for any other islanders that play as part of a team, it is quite hard to get that competitive game time. So having that school team and regular game time was brilliant, even though we did have to play a lot of our home games in Inverness. When I moved away to Edinburgh, as Daniel mentioned, I studied sport and exercise science at Napier University. And throughout my time there, I played for the university team. And I'll come on to that a wee bit later, but that kind of link between university studying and still playing is so important. When you don't quite have the time, a lot of the time, to dedicate your full training schedule and free time to a club aspect. And then from a career perspective, when I was also involved in the women's team at uni, I ran for a volunteer role as football president, and then following on from that, I also ran for a full-time role after I finished my studies as Vice President for Sport and Exercise, Sports and Societies. So you'll see that poster up there of Hannah McLeod on a cloud. It makes me cringe a wee bit now, but it was definitely the start of my kind of stepping stone and future development in my career. So in terms of my career, I've worked at some amazing roles and workplaces, stadia, one being my first job at the Women's Under-19s Championships in Glasgow. That was a great tournament and I was involved in the kind of legacy aspect of that. And Kirsty, if you look in the second photo there, that lion mascot, I am behind that mask. So if you need anyone to go into your mascot costume, I'm your lady. that role involved a lot of outreach to kind of grassroots clubs, telling local children about the tournament, giving away free tickets, just kind of building that awareness piece around the tournament and women's football, and that kind of development from kind of age grade level through to the first team squad. From there, I moved to Scottish Rugby, and I worked at Murrayfield and also Scotstoun for Glasgow Warriors, and that job included more of the kind of operational side of a match day, so your stewarding, your safety, your branding, team timings, entertainment. Loved that job. COVID hit, and then we were lucky enough to host the first pilot fixture in Scotland, which was the Lions game, which was quite challenging just with the restrictions in place. But it was a great experience for myself because we were actually having to put in restrictions kind of over and above government requirements just to show that we were putting every measure in place to ensure we could run a safe match at Murrayfield with the numbers. I've also included this photo at the bottom here of a band, which is Trail West. So obviously Trail West have Scottish Island roots, so I don't think anyone else at Scottish Rugby would have booked Trail West to do a pre-match performance at Murrayfield, but that's the Scottish Islander in me who booked them in. And then moving on from Scottish Rugby, I joined Rangers, and for me that was probably like a dream job, being a Rangers fan, and some of the experiences that I had there were incredible and will definitely stay with me. I got to go to Seville, and I was there for the European Cup final. So that was definitely a highlight for me. Also working on Champions League games at Ibrox, hearing that anthem run through Ibrox was incredible. And on a personal level, opening up and doing opening galas for the new entertainment space, Edmondson House, where they also host gigs. So the main aim was to attract different types of events into that sporting menu. And now I'm at Hibs. I work on all club events, so that ranges from Player of the Year being a big flagship event to I've got the AGM tomorrow. So yeah, it's quite varied, the role. It's great. I've got golf day coming up, Q&A nights, live podcasts. So really enjoying being at Hibs. It's a very community-based club, but I do love working in that football environment, that stadium environment. I feel like that's where I thrive. So my Island Games journey, like Cara, started in Isle of Wight. So Cara was the youngest in the squad, I believe, and I think I was second youngest. Obviously, Cara's getting one up on me with that one too. So Isle of Wight was, I think I was 15 then, and that tournament we had a really strong squad. Unfortunately, came in the difficult position of fourth, and then after that, Ewan McLeod, who is on this call and is our current head coach, Ewan came into the squad, and there was a bit of a kind of rebuild from there. A lot of the more senior players moved on, and a lot of younger players came through. So Ewan could correct me here, but I think he came on board around 2013. So from then, we've kind of been building on the squad. So 2013 was Bermuda. As a team sport, the costs associated with going to Bermuda weren't feasible, so we didn't go there. We went to Jersey. We didn't do that well. We had a great time. Jersey was a brilliant games, really well organised. The weather was amazing. I really enjoyed Jersey. Scotland, we actually performed really, really well. We won 4 out of our 5 games. So I think 9th was a really difficult position for us to come, given our performances. But that is tournament football. And then COVID obviously hit, which left this big gap, but also Gibraltar didn't host a football tournament. And there was a kind of sub-football tournament in Ismon, but it wasn't an official tournament, so I didn't include that. And then finally, we got what we waited for, a medal in Guernsey, and that was just such an incredible moment. We were disappointed to not win gold, but we lost to a much better side in Bermuda, so we were delighted with that silver medal, and it really meant a lot to the girls, especially the older girls in the squad who have been involved even before that date of 2011, and they are still involved. So the likes of Sinead and Louise, they've been involved for a long, long time. So this graph will hopefully run through the growth in the women's game in the Western Isles across the year. So the data capture is from 2013, when Ewan kind of joined and started gathering all this information. So this line chart shows the blue line is any girls that had moved away from the islands but were playing in a kind of university setting. So as you can see, in 2013 there was only 2, and then from around 2018 we jumped up from 6 to 7, so it stayed fairly consistent since then. The yellow line, players playing for clubs, so that includes players who have left uni and have joined clubs, but also players that are at uni and are playing at clubs at the same time. So if we look at in the last 10 years, we only had 2 girls who were playing at club level, and now we have 14. So that is an unbelievable improvement and growth stat there on the number of clubs getting regular game time at high level. And we do have the likes of Rachel Johnston, Chloe Nicholson, who are both keepers playing in top flight, Beth McLeod, to name a few. So there are girls playing in that top flight of club football, and are also involved in the Island Games setup. And then this third line, travelling players, so that accounts for any girls that are living on the island but are travelling away to play at senior or kind of youth level. So again, a massive jump. We've got 14 girls travelling, so a lot travel away to Ross County, which is great. It's a massive commitment, but I think looking at these graphs and the development and the growth from 11th place to a second medal, I think that just shows the commitment of not just the girls, but also everyone involved in that setup. So Ewan's been a massive advocate for not only women's football, but women's sport in general. I know he's supported Cara across the years with her strength and conditioning, but the amount of work that goes into developing and giving girls these opportunities, not even just on the island, but making sure that Ewan looks for other opportunities and pushes girls to go and play for certain clubs and gets them trials and negotiates with other clubs on the mainland. So although it is a lot of work, the value of that cannot be understated. So yeah, that is definitely one takeaway message for me. So Island Games player versus Island Games team manager. I think when you are in that kind of player environment, you totally forget what goes on behind the scenes, or you don't even forget, you actually don't realise what goes on behind the scenes. You're just focused on pre-games, you're just focused on playing, getting regular game time, ensuring that you're training, you're doing your strength and conditioning, and you're fueling yourself and recovering correctly. And then when I look at it from a kind of Island Games team manager perspective, you're looking at so many different areas. So when I last year in not last year, 2 years ago in Guernsey, I took on a kind of dual role. So that was my first year taking on this additional role. And I wanted to use a lot of the skills that I've maybe gained from my jobs in a working environment and kind of bring that in a much smaller scale, but into the kind of team WIGA environment. So with the sponsorship, we looked at areas that we spent a lot in. So we spent a lot on like nutrition and supplements like gels, medical. So created a like nutrition package, and funnily enough, Charlie Barley's sponsored us for that one. So we literally are fueled by black pudding. And then we created other packages which were more creative, like a team player of the match package, which a local company sponsored us for that. We each match voted as a group on who we thought was our best player of the match, and then we posted that online, and the engagement from that was really, really high, so the sponsor was happy. And then we created all sorts of different packages, two training camp packages. As you know, if you're from an island, bringing all these girls together who are based not even across the country, like further afield too, can be challenging. And doing these training camps costs a lot of money. So look at the areas that you spend a lot of money in and try and create an attractive package around that. So can you give them visibility on socials? Can you give them like their physical logo on your sleeves? Those kind of things. So yeah, we built a few packages. We've sold 5 packages this year. So that's different revenue streams coming in, and then funding streams. So Ewan handles all of the kind of grant application side of things. And then I also look at any additional funding streams that we can get in through raffles. So last games, we did an online raffle, and we lent on a lot of the parents and also people in the community who are extremely generous with their prizes and their entries also. And we raised over £2,500, and that £2,500 covered our meals for our whole squad the whole week. So it just helped keep the cost down for the individual athletes. Player payment plans, so that's something I introduced when I came into the role. So I've created a bank account where the girls pay in a standing order and whatever value they can afford each month, and then that helps split the cost of the Island Games fee, individual association fee, down for the girls into more bite-sized pieces. And we started that over a year and a half ago, maybe. So you don't notice it coming out by the time the games comes around. Social updates and comms. So I'll come on to an example in my next slide, but social updates are so important. I think when you're at the games, a lot of the people that support you cannot travel, so making sure that they're informed. So on match day, I'll be doing the match day graphic, any match day updates live, post-match updates. So yeah, I'm on social a lot during the games. And then other things are keeping up to date with your association's plans, feeding that back to your players in the squad. What are the plans for travel? What are the fees going to be, accommodation, that kind of thing. And then games planning and delivery, your individual schedule. So when are we going to train? When are we going to eat? Where are we going to eat? That kind of thing. And then match day duties, which I covered off slightly. So during a match in Guernsey, I was busy tweeting, doing subs, doing team lines. So yeah, you just get involved in all sorts. And then I'm going to finish with a few photos. So on the kind of social aspect of it, so this, I just pulled out this tweet in particular, but I think that tweet where we said we got into the final in Guernsey got nearly 64,000 impressions, 1,766 engagement, and I think this one kind of stands out for me most is 672 profile visits. So I think that in itself, 672 people, a lot, can't tell if they're new or not, but that shows that people are aware of the Island Games as a whole, aware of WIGA as an association, but also the women's team. So yeah, I think that is just one hand-picked tweet from the games, but our engagement and figures across the games was really excellent, and obviously that kind of comes down to our performances too. And you can see some of these photos. These are some of my favourite photos. Ewan's here giving Kaylee a piggyback after she got injured, some goal celebrations, and then this one in the left-hand corner, that's Ewan and a few of the more senior squad members who were just delighted to get a medal at the games. And sorry, last one here in the corner, we've got some of the athletics teams. So I think that slogan, bringing islands together, is really key, and definitely across the Western Isles we're super supportive across other different sports too. So even if you're not playing, go and see other sports. It's so exciting, and it's just such a brilliant competition to be a part of, because you've all got that, you're all part of an island and you play sports. So it's a brilliant competition. So thank you so much for listening.